This is Wellness Buds, and I'm your host, Stella Wingfield.
And I'm Laura, and I have no voice, and yeah, I'm really sorry.
This episode is inspired by the following quote. To experience peace does not mean that your life is always blissful. It means that you're capable of tapping into a blissful state of mind amidst the normal chaos of a hectic life. Jill Taylor. I think this is a great way to start today's episode because we are talking about being present and being mindful. When I first learned of mindfulness and trying to practice being present, well, it was super difficult for me, and I feel like that's an understatement. This was also a time when I was super anxious a lot, and I was wrapped up in my worries and thoughts about what's next, all the things I needed to accomplish, and so on. I think this is especially important this week since it's a big holiday, whether you're celebrating solstice like I am, or Christmas, or whatever it is that you and your family or friends celebrate. The act of being present and in the moment is simple in theory, but if you're prone to being an overthinker, prone to being anxious, or if you're someone who is super busy, it's not always easy to implement this practice into your life. To be present, it's not only being involved in whatever is going on, but actively engaging in what's going on. I think this is so important, especially this week, because you should be enjoying those around you. To be present for them, because quality time with loved ones is so fucking precious. Put your phones down as much as you can. Really soak in the time you have with those that are near and dear to your heart. Building upon being present, mindfulness is being attentive and aware of what's taking place in the present and acknowledging thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. Basically, like we talked about before, being straightforward in your observations and being detached, without emotions about whatever is going on. Mindfulness builds upon being present. You cannot be mindful without being present. Mindlessness happens when our thoughts are not in the present moment and when we tune out what is happening around us. If you've tried any of our guided relaxation practices or plan to try any of these guided practices, it's just super relevant to take this mindset idea when you're trying to initiate the relaxation response. Staying present and mindful within those practices will allow you to optimize the experience, which is why you'll hear in the guided practice the phrase, try not to let your mind wander. Of course, it's natural for your mind to wander, but when you are doing these practices, you're trying to focus the mind internally rather than externally. The point of the relaxation exercises is for you to go inward instead of thinking about all the other things you need to do. Be present, be in the moment, allow yourself to be in the moment. Know that whatever is coming later in your day or the following days, you'll get there when you get there. No need to focus on that until you absolutely need to. Like, obviously, if you need to prep for a certain event or whatever, you don't want to just wait until that day to do it. But, taking it for what it is and not overly worrying and planning about the future, just trying to be present and tackle one thing at a time, be focused on one thing at a time. If you're taking the time to practice mindful meditation or mindful relaxation, take that time for that. And then refocus on what you need to focus on later. I know, it's so much easier said than done, but being aware of these ideas and trying to hone this skill is really beneficial. Some ways to integrate this into your life, as I just said, focus completely on activities that are directly in front of you. Pay attention to things that are happening now rather than thinking about all the other things. Try observing all that is around you currently. What is showing up for you right now? Maybe have an affirmation either aloud or something you repeat in your head. I allow myself to be here now. Or, all I have is this moment. Or, I cannot be anywhere else, past or future, so I choose to relax and enjoy this moment. I think being mindful and being present is so important because our time is not guaranteed. Every day is truly a gift, And I don't know. Why worry about all the things that could happen in a month from now or whatever? Like, yeah, you want to plan your vacation that's in however many months, but like just not overly concerning yourself with that, because you just never know when you'll have another moment to be like I said this week specifically, being a holiday, being with friends, being with family. Who knows when all of these people are going to be together again? And like with COVID, you know, we had to distance and isolate and all of that stuff. And it's like our time with other people is so valuable. Our time with ourselves is super valuable. So taking that in and just trying to be here for yourself and for everyone who's around you, instead of like distracting yourself with television, your phone, your apps, you know, whatever. Like obviously there's a time and place for that stuff. That's great. And watching movies with family, that's also great. But, you know, if you're paying attention to all these other things instead of the people who are right in front of you, it's just my take on it. Take mindful breaks where you designate a time to do nothing but be with yourself, such as the relaxation techniques or meditation. Another nice way to be mindful is totally immersing yourself into something new, such as a new hobby or physical activity. It could be knitting, could be yoga, musical endeavors, nature walks, but just totally involve yourself in participating in this activity. Another tip of being mindful includes noticing when others or yourself become emotional in situations. Try to take a step back and become an observer rather than letting your emotions guide you. Though it is not always easy to be mindful, it's important to note that being mindful may reduce anxiety and decrease tendencies to take on others' negative emotions. Mindfulness is essential to managing stress. Even though it's not easy, it's worthwhile. Since mindful people are focused on the task at hand, they tend to be more productive and satisfied. Though multitasking can be fun and we think we're accomplishing a lot, staying focused on one task at a time is actually more productive. Giving your full attention to what you're doing makes sense that you would be more productive, because when you're distracted, such as cooking and scrolling through your phone, it'll take twice as long to cook your meal. I've been there more times than I'd like to admit. I can distract myself like the rest of us. When you navigate mindfulness, you'll eventually become more at peace with yourself, because you learn to replace thoughts that produce unhealthy emotions such as worry, anger, fear, and guilt with a mental focus on the present. Let go of guilt. Know that guilt, kind of like the mind, can either destroy or teach. Remember when we said the mind can be a healer or a slayer? Guilt can either destroy or teach. We can learn or be unproductive with guilty thoughts. Let it go. Guilt is a habit, and you can change the focus of your thinking to mindfulness. Since we just mentioned anger too, I wanted to briefly talk about this emotion. We've all felt it to differing extents, but it is temporary. Obviously has a range of intensities, and it can show up from perceived provocation or mistreatment. And it's all about how you choose to think about these events. And I know we've talked about how your mind works, how you choose to think about things. Like, it is all really up to you. Major contributing factors to anger involve time, tension, and technology. Think about when you usually feel angry. For me, I think I tend to get more annoyed than angry, but some things can trigger it or have triggered anger in the past. Some things that get to me, like when things are out of place. I hate it when people borrow my things and don't put them back where they belong. When people are late, if we had a very specific start time. When other people are lazy or messy and it impacts my workplace or home. Things beyond my control, potentially like an election. I could get angry about the results, but I won't get into politics right now, maybe ever. I also get angry when I'm losing a game of strategy because I'm just hella competitive. I've definitely gotten better at that, but I used to get very angry at losing any game, but realize that chance type games are beyond my control, so I have to let that one go at least. But yeah, even strategy, I mean, it's so hard to not get a little bit angry because it's like, I don't know, who doesn't like to win? Obviously everyone likes to win, but not letting the anger get the best of you. And I know I used to get super angry when people would drive slow. When I was younger, I had no patience for that. But some effects of anger: it increases cortisol in the body. It also increases adrenaline. It increases blood pressure. It increases blood sugar, faster pulse, insomnia, and fatigue. It decreases immune function. It increases serum cholesterol levels, and it constricts blood vessels. So, it's something to think about if you're someone who is prone to anger, that it does have all these effects on your body as well. Basically, we get angry when our expectations are not met, and maybe this sounds familiar. I know we mentioned this in general with the stress response. It's important to understand yourself and your anger response. Remind yourself that you don't have to think this way. Whatever makes you angry, just because you've always thought about this in this way in the past, like, you can dislike something and not have to be angry about it, which I kind of feel like I'm like on my way to being in that category. Like, I do not like these things. I don't have to be angry about it though. It's hard for me because it's like if I don't like something, it impacts me with like things around the house, like breadcrumbs or whatever, pizza crumbs, coffee grounds on the counter. Real life examples, it sounds so freaking minimal when I say it aloud, but it impacts me. I like seeing neat and clean surfaces, so when it isn't like that, it just bugs me. I like it when my space is clean, and I feel like when it is neat, it just helps my mental health, because I don't know, it's like a breath of fresh air when you walk into a house and it's just like, it's just like clean and everything's where it should be, and it's just refreshing for me. But yeah, when it isn't like that, it's just like a low-key irritant in my mind that I can't help but to think about, which is just so silly, because honestly, what is it really doing other than just being slightly annoying to me? I've changed a lot of my thinking around these sorts of things, where I won't let it build up, and I won't blow up on a person for not wiping down a freaking counter, but I will say, hey, can you do this thing? And try to have open communication, because that's all I can control. Me coming at this person angrily does not help the situation. But it is how I used to approach things that irritated me. So it's been a long journey of accepting things the way they are, knowing I cannot change someone else, but also having that healthy boundary of expressing when something is not up to my standards, which I have lowered a lot, by the way. Having a dog has helped significantly with that. She's always dragging something in. A little bit of dirt, a little bit of grass, some leaves. Like, oh my gosh, that used to drive me crazy when I was younger. But it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's true that as you get older, you tend to care about things a little bit less. You get a little less angry or get a little bit more patient. I don't know. I don't think anyone, though, should have to hold in how they're feeling if something can easily be fixed with just a little bit of communication, so long as it's done in a respectful way, because holding feelings in is also not helpful. So I guess another way of dealing with anger is admitting it. I've heard of people having anger journals. And I know we've talked a lot about journaling, but if you make yourself write it down every time you're angry, if you are someone who is prone to getting angry over things, this can help you choose anger less frequently. Labeling how you feel helps diffuse your emotion. Try to get rid of unrealistic expectations. Like me, like I just said, I know my roommate is not always going to clean up after himself. I cannot change him. But when I point something out in a calm way, he's usually pretty quick to at least take care of his mess. So, and if you're really angry or you have a lot of emotions, for me, going on a walk, going on a jog, working out, taking a second to calm down, kind of distance myself from the situation, I feel like that's a pretty healthy way to deal with your anger, because then I feel like we've said this before too. Having like a little bit of distance helps just give you perspective on the situation. And a lot of times on the other side, after you aren't as emotional, you're just like, wow, that was really silly, and I didn't need to get so upset about that. When we talk about these negative emotions, it's important to recognize that negative emotions activate or can activate the sympathetic nervous system and initiate the stress response. And as we know, long-term negative emotions and chronic stress impact our health negatively as well. Since we talked about this last time and we were touching on negative emotions, I wanted to bring to everyone's attention that somatizing is the body's way of turning mental stress into physical manifestations. As many as half of people who visit physicians have physical symptoms directly caused by emotions, which is why nervous shits, like we talked about last time, is a thing for people. Stress affects the digestive system and how quickly food moves through your system, which is why it can actually go either way. If you're stressed out, you can get nervous shits, or you could get constipated. Other physical manifestations include stress messing with our reproductive system. With men, this can lower sperm count and impact testosterone, and can cause impotence if one is chronically stressed. In women, it can disrupt our menstrual cycles, either leaving us without a period, heavier periods, or cause more painful periods. It can also reduce our sex drive. There are tons of ways that stress can manifest into physical symptoms. And I've linked a great resource in our show notes. It's the stress.org link that goes more in depth about all of this stuff, some of which is repeated from our first episode on stress this month, but I think it's definitely worth checking out if you're interested in this sort of thing at all. I'm going to leave this episode right here. Go enjoy your winter break. Enjoy this holiday week. Try to be as present as possible with those who you're surrounding yourself with. Enjoy the people, not necessarily the things, even if all the things are nice too. Keep your expectations in check to keep your emotions and well-being in a better place. Enjoy the moment. Take time for yourself. Take time for your breath. Stay present, stay mindful. Give yourself permission to be here now. Product of the week. Well, this is weird doing this without Laura, but pow! The pow is my favorite scent of incense. I know there isn't too much to say about incense, and I want to keep this episode brief, but finding the right scent can be hard sometimes. I used to get huge variety packs and just enjoyed the different smells, but one time when I did that, I found that there was this one that was incredible and just more soothing than the rest, and I loved the aroma, so I stopped getting the variety packs after that, and now I only get my favorite and Josh's favorite, which, to be real, we go through my favorite way more. But his favorite is the Nag Champa. My favorite is called Karma, which doesn't really say what the scent is, but the best way that I can describe it is that it's just like sweet. It is light, so it isn't too overwhelming, although it is very fragrant. And it instantly evokes peaceful vibes whenever I light it, and I really like pairing it with yoga or breath work, meditation, or even if I'm smoking some weed. I like pairing things like that. I don't know if I'm a weirdo, but it is just great for whenever, or if you just want your house to smell wonderful. So I'll link my favorite variety pack of incense matches as well, because I love to have that in the bathroom for obvious reasons. So that one I do like to keep a variety, but then for my normal incense, the Karma is where it's at. So yeah, I'll link that below. And I'll just say thank you all so much for listening. If you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes or want to share anything about your wellness journey, please text or call us at 971-292-5565 or email us at wellnessbudspodcast@gmail.com. We appreciate each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to support us. So thank you again. If you like what you are hearing, please share episodes with anyone you think might benefit from this information, or you can leave us a review, subscribe, join our fan club over at Patreon, or donate via our link in our show notes. I hope everyone is having an excellent season. I will just say that due to the holiday season, I think next week we're just going to do another relaxation, a guided relaxation episode. So you can really just take this time at the end of the year to enjoy your break and enjoy your family. So yeah, take care. Enjoy the rest of the year, and we'll be seeing you in January. Bye.